So what is HVAC? You might have clicked in this video wondering what it is. You're trying to get into a career path where you don't require a 4-year college degree, and you were looking into trade jobs and you stumbled upon HVAC. You know what a plumber is, an electrician, but you don't know what HVAC is. So HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, air conditioning. So it has to do everything with raising the temperature and lowering the temperature. So that includes air conditioners, when you move your thermostat and it cools down your house, or chillers, ice makers, refrigerators, those big refrigerators in Walmarts that cool all the food down. Well, as an HVAC, you're going to be working with that. And I will be talking about mostly about residential. There's there's two types. It's residential and commercial. And residential is everything in neighborhoods like houses, and commercial is like Walmart's, Targets, those big stores. And most likely you're going to get into residential first, since it's the most common to get into when you start, and it's in a smaller scale, than big stores. And if you go into residential, there's two most common jobs that you'll get. It's either HVAC technician or an installer. An HVAC tech, what he does is he goes into a home. They call the company, so that their system is not working, it's not turning on, or it's not cooling, or whatever, and they send their technician, and you go and talk to the homeowner, try to figure out what's wrong with the system, and you try to fix it. Now, an installer, they call him once the system is completely broken, right? The technician went and they couldn't fix it, it's a lost cause, and they went into an agreement of buying with the homeowner to buy a new system. And the installer comes and he rips out the old system and puts in the new system. Now, there is pros and cons of becoming a technician and becoming a installer, and it all depends on what you like. An installer is more physically demanding, but you get to turn off your brain more. I hate using that word, but it becomes more repetitive, and you could just like go in autopilot almost, and just know what you're doing and not really think about it. Wherein a technician is less physically demanding, but you have to constantly be thinking, like, what's wrong with this system? Why is it not working? How can I get it to work? So you're just going to be staring at the unit sometimes for minutes and be wondering, like, what the heck is wrong with it? You have to be testing different things, so it's a lot more mental strain, but it's less physically demanding. And also, as a technician, you need to be a lot better at communicating, since you're going to be talking to the homeowner a lot. Where an installer, you don't really have to be that good at talking, because you're just going to be installing the new unit, and yeah, you don't really talk to the homeowner that often. Now, is it worth it? You might be thinking, like, what does it pay? When you go in, fairly starting off fresh, no experience, simply as a helper, where you're just handing tools to your lead technician or your lead installer, you're most likely going to get paid like $18 to $24 an hour. And all these, I'm talking solely about Southern California, since I live here, and I can't really talk about other states. But from what I've seen in Southern California, it's between $18 and $24 an hour as a helper, And then once, obviously, you get more experience and you become a lead technician or a lead installer, As a lead installer, you'll probably get paid like $26 to $45 an hour, depending how good you are. And also, you'll get commission on every install that you do. So let's say if the new system that you installed, it's $20,000, you'll get a 5% of those $20,000. So 25% of $20,000. So for every install that you do, you will get 5%. So if it was 20,000, you'll get $1,000. That's plus your hourly. And you could probably go through, I mean, if maybe like an install a day. It obviously takes longer if you do every single thing correctly, but if you like get it down, I've heard people that they do an install a day easily. So you start making good amount of money. Now for a technician, they get paid a little bit more than a lead installer, and that's because one, there's more demand because it's harder to understand all the functions about the system and really be knowledgeable about why the system is failing. And also, you get to sell a lot more things. You also get commission off the unit that you sold, and also commission of the little parts that you sell when fixing units that were breaking down. So I've seen people make easily over $100,000 a year, even 150,000, and if you're really good, like probably over $200,000 a year. But you just need to be focused and really study and pay attention to your lead technician and to your lead installer, and just fucking work hard and get to that level. But yeah, those are the prices from what I've seen in Southern California, and I don't know in other states. I'm pretty sure it's around similar. Now, one piece of advice is save your money in the summer. Like, save your money in the summer, man. Because in the summer, at least in Southern California again, it gets really fucking hot in the summer. So you're just like bombarded with work and you're putting overtime and overtime and overtime. And you start getting some fucking fat checks and you're like, damn, I'm making good money. You blow all your money, and then comes winter time, it slows down, because it cools down and the fucking units are not breaking and people they're not using it anymore, and you blew all your money, and now you don't have nearly the amount of money that you had in the summer. They cut your hours drastically. So save your money in the summer and use that money throughout the whole year. Okay, so you don't need a college degree, but what do you need? You'll need a EPA certification. That's basically a license that it just proves that you know how to handle refrigerant, because in HVAC you're going to be handling refrigerant, which is basically a gas that is really easily lowers temperature and raises temperature, and you need to know how to handle refrigerant because it's bad for the atmosphere. So if you fucking break a pipe or you leave something leaking and it just releases all the refrigerant to the atmosphere, it can mess up the ozones and blah 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 blah, right? So you need your EPA, and I believe you can go online and pay like $100, maybe like $150. I've heard that you pay $150 and you'll take the test and you pass it, and they'll send your certification, your license, like in 2 weeks. For me, I went to a trade school, which once you pay for the trade school, they pay for the test as well, and then you just take it like that. But I'm pretty sure, I've known people that they didn't know trade school, they just took the test online, they passed it, and then they just applied to jobs and they got hired on without going to trade school, and they made a good living in HVAC. I'll also be making a video of how to get your first job in HVAC. Or it probably works in every trade, but like what your resume is like, and if you required to go to a trade school, which you're not. I'm saying that right now. You're not required. My boss, when he hired me, he told me straight up, like, I don't give a fuck if you graduated from a trade school. Like, you really don't learn that much there. You learn more on the job. So yeah, I don't. You don't have to go to a trade school, to be honest. Yeah, you don't. I had just finished the video, but I forgot to mention, it all depends on how much work you want to put in. If you're really eager to learn, you get off work and you watch YouTube videos of HVAC, and you study it, and when you're at work you ask questions to your leads, and you're really paying attention and just putting in the work, and so you could learn faster and you'll be making a lot more money a lot quicker. But if you're just there for the paycheck and you don't really give a fuck, and you're not putting in the work, you're not trying to learn, then obviously it's gonna take you a lot longer to make decent amount of money. It might take you 1 to 2 years to make over $100,000, if you're really putting in the fucking work. And it could also take you 5 to 10 years, to make that amount of money if you're not really trying to learn, and you're just fucking lazy as fuck. So just keep that in mind. It all depends on how much you're willing to learn and how much work you want to put in, and it'll reflect on your paycheck for sure. But yeah, that's basically what HVAC is. And like I said, if you don't want to go to college, then HVAC is a great route. If you're willing to put in work and do a trade that's like physically, obviously if you're going to a trade, it's going to be physically demanding. But if you don't want to go to college, then that's a good career path. It pays well, so it's definitely a option that you want to consider. And hopefully this video was useful, and see you soon.